What is something socially accepted if done by a man, but not if done by a woman? Not wearing a shirt. This used to piss me off so much when I was prepubescent. Playing out in the summer with my friend, who was a boy, and he was shirtless, and we went around all over and I got really warm, so I took off my t-shirt. Our torsos looked identical, but strangers came up to me and asked me to cover up and let him be shirtless in the heat, because apparently prepubescent girl nipples must be hidden. I was 7, and I was pissed. My sister has psoriasis, and so my mom would sometimes send her out to play in the backyard with her shirt off because UV can help clear it up. Then one day she looked out to check on her, and she was gone. Turns out she decided to take a bike ride up and down the street, still shirtless. She didn't exactly get in trouble for it, but my mom did have to explain that no shirt time can only happen in the backyard. Body hair. I wish it wasn't considered weird for a man to shave his pits, or I would. That hair holds some kind of mythical stench power. Just do it. I do, and so do a bunch of other guys. Trust me, you're more hung up on it than anyone else is going to be, if they even notice at all. Not engaging in childcare. Apparently my husband deserves a medal according to strangers for parenting. Women have thrown themselves at him assuming he was single. People have assumed I was a deadbeat. People have called parenting his own child babysitting. That shit makes him so livid. I am that dad. A surprising amount of people assume my wife died. Others think I'm only doing it for the brownie points. A lot of guys think I'm being taken advantage of by my wife. It's ridiculous. Oh, you're here shopping with your girls by yourself? Sorry to pry, but what happened to mom? Being taller than my SO. He is 161 centimeters tall and has an amazing personality. He is 3 years older than me. I get dirty looks for holding his hand in public, and people call me out as his mom or a weirdo just because I am 185 centimeters. I fucking hate it. Peeing behind a bush. Work in manual labor. I know a handful of lady bricklayers. Just as experienced and good at their jobs as their dude coworkers, but they get so much shit for it both on and off the job. This used to happen to me all the time when I worked with my dad, who owns a tree trimming business. One time I was using a pole saw to cut down some branches when this elderly man walked out and said he didn't feel comfortable with a young lady using that type of equipment. My dad told him I was more than capable and to politely mind his own business. We weren't even cutting his trees. I'd like to add that it wasn't just the elderly with the more outdated views that would give me trouble. When my dad hired new workers, they were either overly nice about it, suggesting they do more of the strenuous stuff, aerial lift, wood chipper, chainsaw, etc., or they were super dicks about it, saying that they didn't want to work with a woman because they felt they were going to have to pick up the slack. Yeah, they would say that shit right in front of me. Our regular workers would stay in their lane because they knew I put in just as much work as everyone else, if not more at times. Customers would constantly comment on how well I worked, how strong I was, etc. Not saying I didn't appreciate the praise. They just complimented me, the only woman on the job, and no one else. Customers weren't usually as intrusive as the story with the elderly man mentioned above, but they would comment on how I was doing dangerous work and how I should be careful. They never were that concerned with what the guys were doing. The point I'm trying to prove is that I was 100% treated differently for being a chick. Take welding classes. Apparently, I was the only girl in high school in the class, and by the third day the rumors flying around about me were horrendous. I was apparently only taking the class so I could sleep with every guy in there. The teacher begged me not to quit when I talked to him about it. He'd had 4 girls take the class in 10 years and all of them had quit because of the rumors. Being smarter than another man. I work as a technology expert at Office Depot, an office supply computer retailer. My fellow expert is a girl, same age as me. We have both built computers, taken classes, and are avid gamers. She knows more than I do in some areas, and vice versa. An unbelievable amount of customers will blow her off to talk to me, or will ask me to verify what she has already told them. Sometimes she'll even tell them, "I can help you, I'm a tech expert here," and they'll say, "It's alright, I want to talk to that guy." Almost exclusively, this happens with men or women who are with their husbands. It's like it's taboo for a woman to be smarter than a man, and it really pisses me off. I'll straight up tell customers, You should ask her, she knows more than I do, when they do it. Guests see the home theater I set up and assume my husband did it. I'm like, he only knows what remote goes with what because I told him. Proposed marriage. I refuse to enforce this social norm. If my girlfriend wants to propose to me, she can damn well propose. I proposed to my husband. Now I know why dudes get so nervous. I was shaking like a leaf. I told my girlfriend I was too traumatized from my divorce to ever propose marriage again. So she did. 15 years so far and going strong. Casually liking sports or video games. God forbid a woman like football and not be able to list every stat from her supposed favorite team, or else she's not a real fan. Deciding not to get married or have kids. Sterilization. Especially before you're 40. But what if your husband wants kids down the road? Well, then he wouldn't have had a vasectomy. Which, by the way, no one gave him shit for. Shit, my wife got herself tied up at 29, a few months before we started dating. She hates kids, and I don't want any. Her mom even drove her to the procedure. I believe her mom's quote was, "You'd be a terrible mother anyways." This wasn't said in a mean way, just honest. My wife agreed and they had a good laugh over it. I have been trying to get mine tied for 20 years. I have multiple health issues, many genetic problems, and never wanted kids, yet every doctor refuses to do the procedure. Because you will change your mind someday. Nobody cares if a man shaves his head, yet people find it odd that a woman shaves her head. To be fair, it's a pretty damn new phenomenon for a shaven head to be socially acceptable for men. I had lost half my hair at 17 and started shaving my head completely around 18. That was around 20 years ago. For a good long while I was routinely stopped by police purely off of my looks, had people crossing the street when walking towards me, old folks that would rather stand on their shaking geriatric legs than sit next to me at the bus, and so on. There was quite a few years where a young white guy with a clean-shaven head was either a neo-Nazi skinhead or an unhinged drug addict, in the eyes of a lot of people. Now I get snarky comments on how trendy my look is, because shaved heads are damn near the norm for men over 25. Things change quickly sometimes. Letting their hair turn gray. My aunt had her hair turn gray at 29. It was cool, plus I think this is becoming more respected, at least with the people I know. Being the breadwinner of the family. In many families the man and woman both have jobs. I know men that would be very uncomfortable if their partner made more money than them. This is especially the case when the male assumes the stay-at-home role, but I think people will have more beef with the man than the woman in this situation. Aging. I think there was an article before dealing about this, especially in Hollywood. Before 25, a female actress would get all sorts of appealing roles. However, once a woman hits 25 and above, she will most likely get aged roles or worse, motherly roles, despite her being, significantly, younger than her male counterpart. I've noticed this in video games a lot. Playing a young dude is cool, playing a young woman is cool, playing an old dude is cool, but I can't think of any games, besides ones where you make your own character, where the protagonist is an old woman. Unless she's like 300 years old but looks 20. As a 32-year-old woman dating a 20-year-old guy, let me tell you the shitstorm it's caused. However, when I was a 29-year-old dating a 50-year-old man, no one thought anything of it. It's weird for women to date younger, but not for men to do so. Yesterday, I watched a video on YouTube of the top moments from Ellen's show, and one of the moments is when Mario Lopez decides to show off his underwear after she asks him what he's wearing. It was for some underwear campaign he was in. But she also takes it upon herself to unbutton his shirt so the audience can see his abs, and he laughs it off and tries to get her to stop. My first thought was, especially with Hollywood being called out for its perversion lately, that if the tables had been turned and Ellen was a man asking a girl to show her underwear on TV and then unbutton her shirt without asking, then people would have probably freaked out. Basically, you can undress a man on live TV if you're a woman, but you can't undress a woman on live TV if you're a man. This happens all the time too. Heck, look at how women are allowed in men's locker rooms after sports games, or how women in the office can have hot firefighter calendars but no one can have Sports Illustrated calendars. This is anecdotal, but I remember on a kayaking tour I went on, everyone was told they had to put on a thermal underlayer that the company provided since the weather was much colder than anticipated. Women were given private tents to change in, men had to change out in the open. That's not the bad part. While I was changing in nothing but a pair of white boxer briefs, which obviously don't leave much to the imagination, I see camera flashes. I turn around and see a group of women taking pictures of me and giggling, and one woman stated she wished her husband looked like that in his undies. I just smiled and kept changing, but thought, imagine if a group of guys did that to a girl. Most normal bodily functions such as belching or farting. Men guy high fives, ladies get weird side glances and looks of disgust. Also masturbation habits. It's cool if a guy whacks it off daily, but when I do it every night it's like some freak perversion. I just like to sleep soundly. It helps. Hitting, fighting, etc. It's always brushed away as, boys will be boys, or, that's just what men do. But if a woman does the same, she's crazy or a bitch. What is considered socially acceptable if only a man does it? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.